For 15 years, General Harrison had never walked, until Private Rivers did the impossible. Before we get into this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. And let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Now let's continue. Private Rivers, step aside. He doesn't need help. Tessa didn't budge. Kneeling on one knee in the soft grass, she gripped the tension straps of the general's knee brace with both hands, calm and unwavering. Around her, the soldiers paused their drills, some murmuring, others simply staring, unsure of what they were witnessing. General James Harrison, silver hair and an unyielding expression, sat still in his wheelchair. His dark navy uniform was crisp, his hands resting motionless on his thighs. His face revealed nothing. Everyone knew his story. 15 years ago, during a covert mission, his convoy was ambushed. The medics had called him lucky to survive. The damage to his spine was permanent. Recovery, they said, was impossible, except for the chair. So he had accepted it. But Private First Class Tessa Rivers, fresh to the base, didn't see him as a legend. She saw him as a man. "I reviewed your files," she said softly, adjusting the strap with deliberate care. "Your scans, the scar tissue, the surgeries. You didn't have clearance to do that," the general said coldly. "I had to," she answered simply. A ripple of whispers spread among the soldiers. Tessa was young, mid-20s, with a slim frame and tight black hair under her cap. Her fatigues were fresh, boots unmarked, and no rank to her name, just a gaze that never wavered. The general's eyes narrowed. "You think I haven't been examined by the best?" "Sir," she replied, her tone even, "sometimes even the best get tired of trying." He fixed her with a hard stare, anger simmering in his chest. "You're out of line, soldier." But Tessa didn't budge. Her hand still held the knee brace steady. "With all due respect, sir, your gluteus and quad muscle groups still show residual activity. It's minimal, but it's there. Your lower motor neurons still fire. That means there's a pathway. Weak but alive." The general blinked, his mind racing. No one had said that in years. The doctors, the specialists, they'd stopped speaking of hope a long time ago. All they offered was pain management and medications. No one had mentioned the possibility of progress in over a decade. She continued, her hands working. "You've built your life around the chair, led from it, commanded from it. You've earned medals from it. But," she tightened the final strap, "you haven't finished what your body wants to do." The silence between them stretched. The drills and push-ups around them faded. All eyes were on this quiet exchange. The general's jaw tightened, hands clenching on his thighs. "You think I haven't tried to stand?" he asked, his voice low. "I think you haven't tried again," she countered. "Not since the last time someone told you to stop hoping." Finally, she met his eyes directly. "That someone wasn't me." His breathing grew deeper, steadier. "You presume a lot for a private." She rose, not with arrogance, but with unwavering conviction. "I was a neuro-rehab tech before I enlisted. My unit specialized in retraining damaged systems. I've seen limbs move after years of silence. I've seen spines respond after every scan said no." The general smirked, a dry laugh escaping. "And you think my spine is going to obey you?" "I think your mind already has," she said calmly. "Your body's just waiting for permission." It wasn't arrogance. It was simply truth. And it struck him harder than any lecture or speech he'd heard since the injury. He wanted to brush her off, dismiss her like he had with everyone else. But there was something in her calmness that held him back. She wasn't seeking approval, and she hadn't drawn attention to herself. She just stepped forward, quietly, with purpose, and touched a part of him he'd long buried. The part that remembered wanting to stand not for anyone else's pride, but for his own. She glanced at the brace. "We can try static stand therapy with parallel bars, 30 seconds a day, just pressure bearing. Then we'll see." He turned away, the weight of her words settling in. "You don't know what it's like to fall in front of soldiers who once saluted you." "I do," she replied, her voice softening. "Not physically, but I know what it feels like to be overlooked, to be told not to bother. I've been dismissed my whole life." He turned back to her, his expression unreadable. She nodded toward the gym. "Give me 30 days. If I fail, you'll never hear from me again." He studied her intently. Every instinct screamed to preserve what little pride he had left. But something deep inside him was shifting. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no either. In the heavy silence, with all eyes watching, he gave a single nod. Private Tessa Rivers grabbed her bag and walked away. But that nod, it was the first step. The next morning, just after 0600, General Harrison wheeled himself into the rehabilitation wing of the base gym. The place had been abandoned since his injury, the equipment gathering dust like forgotten memories. No one greeted him, not from disrespect but because no one expected him to show up. Except one person. Private Tessa Rivers was already there, sleeves rolled up, the bars polished, the tension cords unpacked, her focus unwavering. She didn't salute when he entered. He had told her not to. "The braces are set," she said, her eyes focused on the parallel bars. 30 seconds. That's the target. The general didn't respond. He rolled his chair into position, locking it in place. Tessa moved beside him, securing the stabilizers to his legs with methodical precision. Her movements were fluid, purposeful, her voice even. "Let me know if anything feels off," she said. "It already does," he muttered under his breath. But despite the grumble, he allowed her to lift him. With one arm around his back and the braces securing his legs, Harrison gripped the bars. Tessa stayed close, her shoulder pressed against his, grounding him like a rock. "All right," she whispered. "Now shift your weight. Just a little." His arms quivered, pain flashing across his face, but he kept it inside. She noticed but said nothing. "Breathe," she murmured. His feet held firm, but his knees began to bear the weight. Seconds ticked by, 10, 20, and Tessa remained silent. No cheers, no counting. She just breathed with him, her presence solid. When the 30-second mark came, she leaned in close. "Now sit." He collapsed back into his chair, drenched not from physical effort, but from facing the weight of his own fear. She knelt before him, her gaze soft. "You did it." He stared at his legs. "I didn't move. You stood. You bore your own weight," she said, gently pulling off the straps. "Your body remembered." They met every day after that. Some mornings were better than others. Some days the pain was overwhelming. There were nights he couldn't sleep, times he cursed under his breath. Tessa didn't judge. She just handed him a towel and helped him try again. Slowly, what started as 30 seconds stretched into a minute, then 2. By the third week, his hands were steady and he could shift his own weight. On day 21, Tessa stepped back just a little further and watched as General Harrison balanced on his own, without her support. That night, alone in his quarters, the general stood before the mirror. His face was sharper, his shoulders more sculpted. But it wasn't his body that caught him off guard. It was the look in his eyes. There was life there again, no pride, no vanity, just a renewed presence. By the 4th week they stopped counting seconds. It was about steps now. 2 on the first day, shaky and unsteady. Then 4, then 6. One morning, Tessa walked into the gym to find the braces already in place. Harrison stood at the bars, waiting. She blinked. He lifted his chin. "You're late, Private." "Sir, I've been here watching," she smirked. That day he took 10 steps between the bars. The gym staff, who had once barely noticed, now paused to watch. A few even offered quiet applause. Word began to spread. By the end of the month, a small ceremony was held on the same field where it all began. Most soldiers assumed it was just another pinning ceremony. But instead, they watched in stunned silence as General Harrison rolled forward, locked his wheels, and with a deliberate effort stood. No bars, no cords, just his cane in Tessa's hand. He took a single step forward, turned toward the men, and saluted. The field was silent. Then it snapped. The roar of applause surged louder than any graduation. Some soldiers couldn't hold back their tears. Others shouted his name. But Harrison's focus never wavered. It was fixed on just one person, Tessa. He took a step toward her, handed her the cane, and stood, wobbly but with undeniable pride. "You didn't just help me stand," he said, his voice thick. "You brought me back to who I was before the chair." She nodded slowly. "You were always there, sir. You just needed to be reminded." With that, he reached inside his jacket, pulling out a small medal. "Civilians don't know about this one," he said, his tone soft. "But it's awarded to those who restore what's been broken." He pinned it to her chest. "Not my body," he added, his voice unsteady, "but my will." She fought to keep her tears at bay, her voice firm. "I didn't come to fix you. I came to remind you that you weren't done." There they stood, soldier and commander, two souls from different worlds, bound not by rank but by something deeper. Behind them, the soldiers stood taller, prouder, because they had witnessed the impossible. Not a man walking again, but a man choosing to. If this story resonated with you, make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe for more powerful, unexpected stories. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from. Your stories mean the world to us. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.